Welcome to the Publix Tailgate Show. Brian Sexton, Mike Dempsey, and Austen Lane will get you ready for kickoff.
What a play call! Trevor Lawrence runs it in from 6 yards away. His second rushing touchdown of the game, and Jacksonville has taken the lead.
The Publix Tailgate Show is brought to you by the University of Florida, Whataburger, Farrah and Farrah, and by Everbank. The Publix Tailgate Show starts right now.
Well, hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Publix Tailgate Show. They call it PW2, Preseason Week 2. Believe it or not, I needed someone to explain that to me. I had never called it that before, but it's PW2, folks. The Carolina Panthers are in Jacksonville at Everbank Stadium, and kickoff comes your way at 7:30, so about 3 hours from now. Until then, you have a healthy dose of Mike Dempsey. Hi, Mike.
Hi, I don't know
what is a
how
healthy dose
that is for anyone, but
yeah,
sure.
Here he is.
There's a lot of me here.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
And across the table, Austen Lane, everybody's favorite. How are you?
I don't know about that. Mom would say yes, but everybody else is kind of on the fence.
Does anybody else
bit.
really matter?
That's a great point, Mom. As long as Mom's got your back, that's all that matters. And happy, it feels like, Friday Night Lights tonight, boys.
100%.
Like it's exciting.
Listen, I know it's the preseason, and people, it's the preseason, the starter's not going to play, whatever, right? It's football, and we are back, and we are in the Hyundai Studios, by the way, and today's game is presented by Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I want to throw a word at you, and you tell me how it hit you. Last week after the Jaguars practice against the Saints, there was a lack of satisfaction in and around the team hotel, right? It wasn't energetic. It felt like people didn't appreciate the way that it went. Am I being subtle enough?
I don't think you need to be that subtle, but yes. Yes.
So the point I'm trying to get to is the word that was used on Thursday and Friday and even Saturday was response. Let's see how this team responds.
Yeah.
Based on what you saw on Wednesday against the Carolina Panthers, what do you think? Did they respond?
I thought they responded, and it had all the makings to be a very physical and some scuffling going on. Number one, it was hot. I think it was even hotter in Jacksonville than it was in New Orleans for that practice with the Saints. And number two, keep in mind what the Panthers are coming in. They're coming in after kind of an embarrassing showing against the Buffalo Bills. They go 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and the twos come in. So I felt like both teams had something to prove. And then literally the first play of that team offense with the Jaguars and then going against the Panthers defense, little bit of a scuffle, little bit of a shoving match. I almost got involved. I was this close to getting involved.
That's the UFC fighter in you, though, isn't it?
Then I saw Steve Smith across the way, too.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe.
Yeah, maybe not.
Maybe
the two of you,
see.
yeah, exactly.
It's kind of scrappy.
Let's hear from the head coach, Mike, and then we'll get your response.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we challenged them with a little bit, to come out and, set a tone and come out and play fast instead of, all right, we got to get punched in the mouth and then we respond. So that was nice to see us be able to come out and start fast.
They came out with some energy.
Yeah, look, I think there were issues on the offensive line against New Orleans, and that's your tone-setting group on offense.
Yeah.
Those are the guys who are going to get physical, and there are probably some guys who feel like their starting spots are pretty secure, and I don't know how seriously they took that practice, but my understanding is Coach Liam Cohen had conversations with more than one player, and I think they did. Our response is a good word. They came out and they kind of had their backs shoved up against the wall.
Listen, if it turns out that it turns things around and gets this team playing better, then you'll want to play the Saints in the first preseason game every year. Because Liam talked to Sean McVay on Wednesday night, and Sean said, hey, last year they came out and punched us in the mouth. Maybe that's just the way that the Saints go. Regardless, the joint practice is here to stay. It's how teams are going to use practice to get their players ready for the regular season. Again, starters not expected to go this evening here in Jacksonville. Don't know about the Carolina Panthers yet. So Liam is sticking to what he said last year, which is that in preseason, he'd really rather not play starters and have them ready for the regular season, which this year is against the Cleveland Browns. I just want to get your opinion. The value of joint practices. Some players like it. We'll hear from one that does. And some players, Saquon Barkley today, said he didn't like the joint practice sessions. As a former player, what do you say?
I'm all for that. I like the joint practice sessions because it amplifies everything, right? It's a little extra energy. It's a little extra physicality going against new players and everything. I love that. But I also enjoy playing in the preseason because I truly feel like putting the pads on, being underneath the lights and everything in front of those fans and that crowd, It's different. And the last thing I would want for this team week 1 against the Cleveland Browns is for the first time to put those pads on, like those real official pads, and then play in front of the crowd. And they're kind of not accustomed to that. I'd much rather have them be ingrained already with that.
I think they're different guys are going to approach it differently, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we've heard Jacoby Myers and Josh Hines-Allen in the last week indicate, like, I'd like to get a few reps, and it doesn't look like they're coming. So I get the desire to protect your players, because if you play your guys in the preseason and they get hurt, then there's no good answer to that as a head coach, and that's just one of the risks that you have to run. But there are some guys, Maurice Jones-Drew used to tell me all the time, I've got to get time in the preseason. I need to get my run fits down in a live action kind of scenario, or else you can't just roll into the season like that. And, can you replicate some of that in joint practices? I'm sure you can, but I agree with you, Austen. I think for some guys, they like being out there under the lights.
We'll hear from the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, and his thought on the value of the joint practices, of which they've had 2 and still have 2 more to go next week against Tampa.
I felt like it was really productive. Was it perfectly clean? No. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to work on, and we got to improve on. I got to improve on. But as far as just the competition, the competitiveness, the back and forth, I mean, that always feels game-like, the ebbs and flows, where you get some momentum and then the defense, they make a couple plays, then you got to steady it out and get back on track. And I thought we did a good job of that.
The coach said on Monday that he was contemplating playing starters. Then the starters come out and have a strong performance in the practice session against Carolina, and he decides, don't need to do it. I think part of it is, and Liam said as much, he knows these guys need some work. As you just mentioned, some guys really do, but everybody, it's hitting. And you can't practice that very often. It's very strategic in what they do. I think at one point this week he was thinking maybe his guys need it.
Yeah, and I think the start of the week, the narrative was, okay, we'll see if they're going to play in the preseason game or not. I think that was really a challenge coming off that Saints week, right, where he essentially called out his team and said, hey, those reps will be in the preseason game if you guys don't want to practice against the Carolina Panthers, right? And I think they answered that challenge, and I think kind of like that dangling carrot then from Liam Cohen was, okay, I like what I saw from the physicality standpoint. We're going to give you guys a little bit of a break in terms of the starters. 2s, 3s, you guys are up for the Carolina Panthers game.
And one of the reasons why he doesn't want to play is because the offensive line is still, they only have 6 or 7 guys that they can count on to play tonight if you want to sit your starters. They've been playing different positions, right? We've seen Ezra Cleveland move over and play on the right side. We've seen Jonah Monheim play both guard and center. And I asked him this week, hey, how do you balance it all, right? You're playing first team right guard on practice on Monday. Then you're playing backup center on Tuesday. You're playing both positions against Carolina. How do you manage all that? The second-year player from USC.
Coming out each and every day knowing that I got to do whatever it takes to help this team. I got to be the best player that I can be and help our O-line room as a unit be the best unit that we can be, regardless of whether that's 2s, 3s, 1s, guard, center, it doesn't really matter. And I think our guys have done a great job of adapting and doing whatever's best for the team.
So give me your perspective on the offensive line as a whole, right? Patrick McCarry's the one guy he's not going to be ready to start the season. You got Walker Little back. And by all accounts, Tony Baselli told us last night on Jags HQ that he played really well, had a good day. Ezra Cleveland rebounded after the poor performance, and he's moved over to the right side. They love what they've got from Emmanuel Pregnon right now. And Anton Harrison stepped up and had a better day. You also are going to get Wyatt Milam and Chuma Edoga back next week on the practice field, and you traded for Daniel Fa'alele. All of a sudden, you've got some answers to the questions, it would seem. Your thoughts on where they're
possibly, but I feel like the offensive line's been at the center of this whole thing. I think they're the ones in particular that didn't perform well against the Saints. I think Liam Cohen kind of reacted out of anger a little bit, like, hey, all right, maybe I will play these guys. Yeah. Then you come to Monday's practice, he's like, man, I want to be out here in full pads, but we don't have enough linemen basically to do it. So, I mean, at the one point, it was their lack of performance that was spurring him to play them. Then it was their lack of availability, I think, that made him dial it back a little bit here. But you look at it right now, Austen, and I find it hard to believe Pregnon's not going to be an opening day starter on this. It's going to have to take several steps backwards for that to occur. But if you've got Anton and Pregnon, Hainsey, Ezra at right guard, and Walker Little playing right tackle. We don't know. Cole Van Lanen's cleared, but we don't know if he's ready for football. That may be your opening day starting 5 on the offensive line.
I mean, here's the thing, Brian. You said that we have the answers. I don't know the questions to the test yet because I'm not sure if Anton Harrison's going to stay at that left side or are they going to move Cole Van Lanen to the left side if he's healthy. Are you going to move Anton Harrison to the right side? So that's the question. Do you start Pregnon then? Like, I get it. He had a great showing against the Saints. Those were 2s and 3s. How does he do maybe next week when Vita Vea comes to town on a new contract and everything? So to me right now, like, yeah, you have some depth. You have some guys coming back healthy, but the ultimate question is going to be where are they going to be playing? Right. And that's going to be the deciding
factor. I think Anton Harrison has solidified himself on the left side of the line. And Jeff Lageman's been talking about Cole Van Lanen being more comfortable on the right. I think you're right. I think Pregnon's the starter. You just hear the things that they say about him.
He's arguably their best player last week against the Saints. So how does that guy go from being one of maybe your best player to not one of your top 5 in his position group in a 3-week period? I just don't see that happening.
And here was the other reason that I said there was maybe a ray of light around the offensive line is you got Cole Van Lanen off PUP. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to be ready to go on opening day, but that's at least a positive step. If you had gotten to roster cutdowns and still had not moved him up to the active roster, then you're talking about him being gone for the first month of the season. So at least there's that ray. I'll wager a guess that your starting lineup on opening day, provided that everyone stays healthy, is going to be Anton Harrison, Emmanuel Pregnon, Robert Hainsey, Ezra Cleveland at right guard, and Walker Little. Let's just say Walker Little. It's a good offensive line with the potential to improve if everyone stays on the field and stays healthy.
I think you would take that, and I'm really curious to see, we'll see who actually plays this game. We expect, 2s and 3s to play in this up-and-coming game here, but I'm really curious to see the next week then in Tampa in terms of what that rotation looks like. Are you finally going to solidify your guys if you're playing here, or are you going to try guys kind of shuffling around again? Because eventually you have to get to the point where you got to stop shuffling, and who you have is who you have, right? Like, I understand using training camp to see what certain guys can do and everything, but eventually you got to get out there, have your starters ready, make sure they're ready to go for week 1 against Cleveland.
All right, well, we talked about how the coaches wanted to push hard this week, even if they couldn't go full like they wanted to on Monday and Tuesday. Talked to Travis Hunter, and he thought the work they got done early in the week was a result of the coaches pushing hard.
It's great. Coaches got on us. We didn't play as hard as they thought we should have been playing. So, our motto today was just, go be aggressive. Do everything we coaching you to do. Be rough. Don't sugarcoat nothing. Don't be buddy with the offense. Go out there and work. So that's what we try to do today.
There's the key with the offense, right? Which means he played a lot of time on defense this week, which I think all of us expect to see. He had a couple of really nice plays against Carolina where he broke balls up on the sideline. I heard he had some things on the some miscommunications in the red zone, has to clean those up. Your thoughts on Travis Hunter on defense?
Well, I think he profiles as your number 1 corner, right? I mean, with the skill set that he comes, he's not obviously, you drafted him very highly, I think, and you talked about him revolutionizing the game of football. I don't think they're shying away from the impact that he can make on defense. I would expect he plays about 90% of the snaps this year, maybe assuming he stays healthy. And who knows week to week, Austen, with the offensive side, because I think you've got to play Travis Hunter enough that when he's in the game, the defense doesn't automatically go, okay, this is a Travis Hunter play, right? So where do you find that balance of maybe he's only going to touch it 4 to 5 times a game, but do you have to get him in there for 10 or 15 reps, and who do they come at the expense of?
Well, you have to ask yourself the question, too, of what does Travis Hunter want to do, right? Because I think you have to make him happy. You have to make him happy as well, though, right? I mean, it's fun playing defense and everything, but what's really fun? Scoring touchdowns, celebrating, dancing in the end zone, right? So
You've done a little of that.
He kicked, a 30-yard field goal at practice on Wednesday, and then he danced for like 5 minutes. I thought he was going to tear a hamstring just watching him.
Hey, one more thing that I want to touch on. The run defense in particular, and I focused on that, was really good. Devon Hamilton, I talked to him after practice. I said, listen, it looked to me like you guys put a chip on your shoulder. They got nothing in the run game. Here's Devon.
That's definitely our standard. We try to play physical and tough up front and do our jobs at the maximum level. But that's just our standard. We got to keep on leveling up, though. We still got stuff to work on, but that's our goal.
So you got Foye Oluokun, who had been working his way through camp. He had okay camp, and last Wednesday against Carolina, he was great. He had his best day of camp, I'm told.
I mean, I believe it, and he has to, right? Because this is your general. I mean, stuck behind, the hype of Josh Hines, Allen, and Trayvon Walker and everything, you got the guy who gets guys lined up every single time, and that's Foye Luke, and really that defense goes through him, right? Like, I mean, you got the big guys up front that are great in the run game, but you need the guy that's going to get people situated and get lined up properly, and especially this year where I think you're going to see a lot more wrinkles, a lot more blitz packages, exotic looks, things like that. That stems on Foye Luke.
Look, they had the number one run defense of the league last year. So, yes, Devin Lloyd is a loss, but I think they can replace him, and I think the scheme will do a large part of that. And, you and I talked about this before we came on today. Jelani Tavai, they were really happy with the way he's been playing. Now, I wasn't out here for the joint practice. I was on the air on Wednesday, but I don't know how he factors in, but it's going to be an interesting numbers game to decide how many of these linebackers are you keeping, Austen. Can you get away with, Yasir Abdul had a big game last week.
Yeah.
But if all he can play is Sam, and you play Sam 25% of the time, and Gardeck is your guy, can you justify keeping two guys at that spot?
But if you've seen this regime, though, I mean, they reward hustle. And they reward effort. And he made himself known not only on defense with that sack, but also on special teams.
Of course.
Right? So it's like, how can you deny that guy if he's going to show up in the preseason like that? So he's definitely a name to be watching here.
All right, we got a lot more to come over the next 3 hours leading up to kickoff with the Jaguars and the Panthers, including...
Like, I already knew what I wanted in life. Like, before I met my wife, like, I already knew, like, before I leave college, I was going to be married.
Rookie defensive tackle Albert Regis sounds like a veteran. You'll understand why in just a few minutes. But up next, CBS Sports senior writer Pete Prisco's weekly perspective via Mike Dempsey. Jaguars Panthers coming up 7:37. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Wow! Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll. Taste the hype only at Jacksonville Publix locations. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
The moment you drop off donations at a North Florida Goodwill, your things start new lives. A donated jersey helps someone suit up for success through education and training. A pair of old cleats helps a job seeker step confidently into new career opportunities. Every donation fuels Goodwill's mission to provide education, training, and career opportunities, removing barriers to employment and building brighter futures across our community. To find your nearest donation center and learn more, visit GoodwillNorthFL.org. Goodwill, where your things start new lives.
2 hours ago, Kyle arrived at the bar.
Hey, what's everyone drinking?
30 minutes ago, Kyle got his friends another round of drinks.
Cheers!
5 minutes ago, Kyle decided to drive home drunk. A minute ago, a law enforcement officer pulled up behind Kyle.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
A chain of events that began 2 hours ago is about to change Kyle's whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Brought to you by FDOT. Federal employees keep our country going, and GEHA is proud to keep them going with health plans exclusively for them. We were started by postal employees in 1937, and today we offer all federal employees a network of 1.7 million providers and a health plan for every stage of life. That's why we've been trusted by millions of federal employees and retirees across the country since 1937. GEHA. Find your federal health plan at GEHA.com.
What's Here is a place that generations have trusted to help their kids grow up healthy and strong. What's Here are caregivers with knowledge and expertise rivaling any children's hospital in the world. What's Here is the only Level 1 pediatric trauma center in our region. What's Here is Wolfson Children's Hospital with the technology, research, and dedication to save and change countless young lives. Wolfson Children's, always here. Visit wolfsonchildrens.com.
NFL fans, when it's time to get Jaguars tickets, you can tackle game day with total certainty with Ticketmaster. With 100% verified tickets available all season long, you can count on getting in with ease and spend time focusing on the good stuff. Even if you're headed to the game last minute, you can still score seats. Want to meet up inside the stadium with your crew? Transferring your tickets is an easy handoff. So get those touchdown celebrations ready and score your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/Jaguars.
The Publix Tailgate Show rolls along on a Friday afternoon in Jacksonville. Brian, Mike, and Austen with you from the Hyundai Studios. 7:37 Eastern Time kick for the Jags and Panthers. You saw Pete Prisco this week,
I did,
didn't you?
unfortunately.
He was here for 2 days.
Tell
us about your conversation.
We
man.
did talk about what's been going on this preseason, and obviously the topic when we spoke was yet to be determined whether or not Liam Cohen was going to play his guys. But regardless of what the head coach's decision was going to be, wanted to ask Pete what he thought the starters should do. Should they be in action tonight?
I'm good, Mike. How are you?
Doing well. Jags got a W, but I don't think we care that much about the final score last week, Pete. Tonight, Liam Cohen has indicated that he wants to see his frontline guys get a little bit of work. How much would you like to see the starters play, if at all, tonight?
I think now we're getting to the point where if you don't get any work, you're not going to get it for a long time and get any real contact. So I think it makes sense. I understand what he's thinking. I want to see the running backs. I mean, those are guys that, you can't really get a good gauge on them until you see them playing through contact or running through contact. So I get what he's doing. I think it makes a lot of sense. You go a long time without hitting anybody, and you go a long time without having anybody tackle you. So a little bit of work would be good for everybody.
Yeah, and Pete, one guy who got some work last week, really made a move. That's Emmanuel Pregnon. People were excited about him when they drafted him, but I felt like he had a quiet training camp, but really was throwing his weight around, pushing guys around, which is what you want to see from a physical offensive guard.
Yeah, and Mike, he has the look of the guy when he walks off the bus who has guard next to his name. He's a big, square, physical power player. And if you're a team that wants to improve your running game and running the football inside, I think that's the kind of guy you need. And so, yeah, there's little things he needs to work on, getting to the second level, being better with his timing. But I think from a physical standpoint, I think he gives them everything they need. The one knock on him was, well, how would he do picking up the offense right away? And I think he's done a pretty good job with it. And you hear, Liam Cohen talking about how he works his butt off. So I'm impressed with what he's done. And I think he's going to be the opening day starter at left guard.
I think he is, too, at this point. At least he's certainly trending in that direction. So on the right side of the offensive line, Pete, let's presume when Cole Van Lanen's healthy, he'll be the right tackle with Anton seemingly moving to the left side. Who's the right guard for this team? I know McCary is not going to be available for a while. So out of Milam, Monheim, Ezra Cleveland, Walker Little, who is your opening day right guard for the Jaguars?
I think if it's Van Lanen's healthy at right tackle, I think it'll be Cleveland. You put your best 5 out there, and I think he'd probably end up being their best 5, and I think he would start the season. That's not to say he's going to finish the season there, but I think he would start the season if Pregnon is the left guard. I also think there might be a competition at center. I mean, I think you look at Monheim, he's a little more physical than Hainsey. And I don't know that necessarily is going to be something that's going to be closed throughout the entire season. It might not be right away, but I think there's going to be real competition there as you go throughout the season.
Well, in addition to the O-line injuries, Pete, the Jags have been picking up some other issues there in that medical department. How important, Pete, is it to get LaQuint Allen back healthy? How big of a role will he have for this football team when he is healthy?
Well, again, he's probably going to be a third down back. And, anytime you lose a guy who can come in the passing downs and block the way he does, can catch the ball out of the backfield. But more than that, he brings an attitude. You talk about a guy who brings an attitude, Mike. He's a tough physical guy. He doesn't back down from anybody. And you want a lot of those guys on your team and on the field. So I don't think it's necessarily going to knock him out for a long period of time. Who knows? He might be there on opening day. But again, anytime you have those kind of injuries, it's always concerning because you want that guy on the field and you want an attitude like that on the field.
Parker Washington picking up a, quote, soft tissue injury, Pete. The prognosis is he might be back as soon as next week. Let's hope that's the case. In his place, Austen Trammell kind of jumped the line at practice this week to run as the primary slot receiver at times. But can Trammell, as good as he's looked in training camp, can he make this team outright if Parker Washington, both the rookies and the frontline wide receivers are healthy?
That's going to be a tough challenge because when you look at it from a roster spot standpoint, you're talking about, Travis Hunter can slot in as the number 6, and you're not going to count him that way, but he can. And so you might get some flexibility elsewhere. Look, if he goes out and he plays really well and they know what he can do, you can always keep him on the practice squad too. And you can always keep one of those rookies on the practice squad as well. But I think both rookies will make it. I think that will give you 5, and it just becomes a question, how do you count 6? If you count 6 and you don't count Hunter, then I think Trammell has a chance to make it.
All right, other than staying healthy tonight, what's the number one thing you'd like to see the Jaguars accomplish against the Panthers?
I want to see the backs. I want to see the backs run the football. Again, it's been a problem for the team. I think they want to be better running the football, and I think that's something you want to see with those guys. You want to see how they handle the load. Can they run between the tackles tough? And I think that's the most important thing going into this game.
No, we'll definitely see the backs run the ball. They just won't be the front line guys doing it tonight. Austen, I think one point that Pete made is that, he wonders how close the competition is at center between Hainsey and Monheim. I got to believe if they're starting Pregnon, which we think it's leading towards, you're going to go with the veteran at center. You're not going to put in a second-year guy who's never really been a starter next to a rookie as 2/5 of your offensive line.
Without a doubt. I appreciate the narrative, and Monheim might be a little more physical, right, and a little more nasty in the trenches. But when you think of the center position, you think of like a Jason Kelce, like crafty, right? Like we don't need you to push people back, but we need you to call out blitzes. We need you to get the offensive line set and the slide protection where it needs to be. And I feel like Hainsey, with his experience, definitely has the advantage with that.
Monheim's the center of the future. It just doesn't appear the future is right now. Mike, thanks. PRI Productions is the official event production company of the Jaguars. They have everything you need to bring your next idea to life. Visit PRIProductions.com. Well, today's player interview is presented by big number 1 Duval Ford. The Jags went hunting for a big body for the middle of their defensive line and a good man of strong character to fit into their culture. In Albert Regis, they found both, so they wasted little time in making him a third-round pick in April. Last Saturday, he wasted little time in showing what he was all about. He told me he's working overtime this summer to get ready to play.
It's not easy in the slightest bit. I mean, I'll be lying if I said it was. I just, every day, I give it to God because he's the reason why I'm here and why I'm playing this game. And without him, none of this would be possible. So ultimately, he flows through my body when I play. So that is always the forefront of everything that I do. And then my wife and daughter, I keep them on my mind constantly because they motivate me to continue going when God blesses me to touch this earth and continue playing this game. But, this football's football. I mean, the great thing about this is that I don't have to deal with school no more. I can't over-exaggerate how happy I am about that. And then plus, I think my time at A&M, spending all 5 years there, really prepped me for this moment, being under Elko's defense my freshman year and then having him as my head coach for my last 2 years. I firmly believe he was prepping us for the league already.
A veteran staff member told me that you're an old soul, right? Obviously, you're married when a lot of guys don't even have girlfriends. And with a child, how does that influence your approach to football?
Old soul, lovely. I think it just, it influences me by just understanding, I don't have distractions, ultimately. I already knew what I wanted in life. Before I met my wife, I already knew, before I leave college, I was gonna be married or find my wife already. And me and my wife, we met 2022, and I told her first time we talked, I told her I was gonna marry her. So I knew what my intentions were, and I let her know. And God worked everything else out, and I love it. But I mean, I think just having no distractions and having my priorities straight and not going for any other nonsense probably makes me an old soul. Plus having a kid, but I love it, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I'm just trying to live life how God tells us to.
Listen, it was meant as the highest form of compliment. Since you seem to know what you want, what did you know about this defense when you came to Jacksonville? They obviously were looking for more interior disruption. We saw it from you in New Orleans. Tell me about how this defense fits you so far.
I mean, I love it. This defense has been something I've been really growing into and just trying to put my impact in with everyone else. I knew this was a very physical defense who gave a whole lot of effort as a unit, and I love playing for those defenses, and I just knew I'd fit right in with them. And, I just try and leave my impact the best way I can and doing my 1/11th and doing it to my highest ability for every play, nonstop for the whole game.
There's a lot of different personalities in that room. Everyone's personality is different. Let's not kid ourselves. How have you fit into that room? Give us the temperament of that room based on the time you've been with them. It sure seems like a fun group that takes it seriously when it's time to play.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everyone's fun. And it's like you said, everyone has different personalities, but having different personalities in one unit that all want the same goal, I mean, they all blend well with each other. No one really collides and bash heads. It's all fun, and everyone loves each other, and we just all want what's best for each other and the team.
I know you're getting to share this experience with your wife and with your daughter. So as a final thought, how's it going with your family back home in Texas? Are they a part of this? Are they enjoying it? How are you experiencing your rookie season, your rookie training camp with your family?
Oh, it's been amazing. You know, they send me all the stuff, send me all texts, but most of the time they usually don't reach out because they know how focused and locked in I get during season, and they'll occasionally check on me, and you know, I'll check on them, and they remind me every day how much they love me, and I'll tell them how much I love them, and you know, we're all just enjoying this process because it's not for long, you know. And I just want to make the most of this, so when I walk away, no matter how long it was, I just want to know, God, I gave it everything I had every day, and I never left any ounce of effort in the body. I knew I exhausted myself every day for you, and when I walk away, I can walk away with my head high, knowing that you allowed me to play this game safely and walk away to still be able to run around with my kids.
After that sack, I was excited to see him in game 2, but he's not going to play this evening. He has one of those soft tissue injuries. Told it's nothing serious, but they're being precautious with those guys.
Yeah, I mean, he had the sack, which was a big splash play, and you'll take that every time. I thought he got pushed around a little bit in the running game, though. So, and I think that's something that he's got to work on, Austen. He's got to get a little bit stouter there, but he does bring, you know, for his size, exceptional quickness to the field.
Without a doubt, because when you see the position nose tackle, we have the preconceived notions, okay, they're going to close down a buffet, run a 5 flat. This dude ran a 4.8 at the combine, 4.88. This guy was a wide receiver / fullback / tight end in high school. So he's super athletic. He's got great feet. He showcased those against the Saints. Now can you just put it all together, get used to playing in the trenches, because playing that nose, you will be required to take on double teams every once in a while as well.
Hopefully we have an opportunity to see him next week when the Buccaneers are in against their very good offensive line. Coming back in about 15 minutes, Jeff Lageman and Bucky Brooks join us in the booth. But up next,
I think when you're playing in the secondary, you know, you got to take pride in what your job is. You have to be the umbrella for the defense.
Kai Stevens introduces us to the passing game coordinator. And Jaguars and Panthers are on the way at 7:37 Eastern. You're listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll. Taste the hype only at Jacksonville Publix locations. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Johnstone Supply Wholesale provides HVAC contractors with Amana air conditioners, heat pumps, and furnaces homeowners trust. Built to be reliable, quiet, and energy efficient to provide indoor heating and cooling comfort year-round. Don't settle for less. Trust the experts. To find the right system for your home, locate an Amana Advantage specialist near you at johnstoneamana.com. That's johnstoneamana.com. Hey Jaguars fans, sack those snack cravings with Dippin' Dots, the original Beat It ice cream brand. Grab a cup of your favorite flavor or discover a new flavor from one of the Dippin' Dots locations right here at Everbank Stadium. Get ready to taste the fun with Dippin' Dots.
I want my Dippin' Dots.
Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Catch epic showdowns in Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Denver. Catch big city brawls in New York, Chicago, and Dallas. And support your Jaguars in divisional clashes in Houston, Nashville, and Indianapolis. View real-time parking, security, and flight updates on flyjacks.com. Whether you stick with the play call or need an audible, they'll be your teammate every step of the way. The play clock is counting down, so book your nonstop flights today. Learn more at flyjacks.com.
Today, everybody knows the chant, Duval! But long before it echoed through stadiums, there was another name Jacksonville already trusted, Big Number 1 Duval Ford. For 110 years, we're proud to be Jacksonville's only family-owned Ford dealership. For generations, we've helped local families find the right vehicle at the right price, with hometown service you can count on. We've also proudly served the local businesses that help our community thrive with Big Number 1 Duval Ford Pro Elite. Visit Big Number 1 Duval Ford at 1616 Cassett Avenue or shop anytime at duvalford.com.
Brooks Rehabilitation is proud to be the official rehabilitation partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Nationally ranked by U.S. News and World Report. Our playbook is individualized treatment and exceptional care to get you back to living your life. Brooks has cutting-edge technology and therapy solutions in every care setting, treating sports injury, orthopedics, brain, spinal injuries, and more. Go beyond your expectations with Brooks Rehabilitation.
And we're back in the Hyundai Studios for more of the Publix Tailgate Show. Brian Sexton, Mike Dempsey, Austen Lane with you. Jags and Panthers, 7:37 Eastern kickoff in PW2, which means preseason week 2. I'm going to say as much as I can. Hey, Yucatan and Duval, hand-scooped Haas avocados and fresh ingredients unite 2 winning traditions so you can savor real guacamole flavor. Find Yucatan Guacamole's new protein single cups at your favorite Publix. Well, the Jaguars want sticky coverage from their secondary to help bolster their pass rush. So this offseason, they went looking for just the right coach with just the right philosophy to pair with defensive coordinator Anthony Campanile. Kai Stevens caught up with defensive pass coordinator Matthew Arujo after practice this week.
Post-practice with Matt Arujo, new addition to the defensive coaching staff in the offseason, but kind of old hat for you because you worked with Camp for a while in Miami, and I'll say from my perspective, a lot of similar mannerisms. You guys got to be close.
That's a good thing.
It is a good, I mean, as a compliment.
Yeah. No, we're very close. We just so happen to be very similar, and it's just a coincidence. But within that, I think we value the same thing, so that's why we have a great relationship.
We're post-practice chatting right now, and I feel like you and your group are always the last ones off the field, and I mean that as a compliment as well. It's getting that extra work in, and I know a lot of the players have spoken to how much they enjoy working with you. Has this always kind of been your philosophy?
Yeah. I think when you're playing in the secondary, you got to take pride in what your job is. You have to be the umbrella for the defense. So there's an extra amount of work, effort, discipline, communication that it takes, because in our own job, we have to be right, and we also have to be there if something goes wrong at the first or second level to make that right. So to me, the daily discipline and putting in extra work, guys begin to build pride within the room, and they feel like and they understand I'm prepared for whatever happens because we do this every single day. So to me, that's part of building our culture and part of building our play style. So it's not anything for show other than for us to just build that daily grind of this is how we operate no matter the circumstance.
When you were talking about taking this job, I have to imagine part of the conversation was about working with Travis Hunter. I know you work with him closely. Yeah. What about that has surprised you maybe the most since you started working with him when you got here?
He's an extremely fast learner, and it's even with the technique stuff. So we can do something, and it doesn't even have to be full speed. He can go out in a live rep and apply it. So, working with other elite guys in the past, they have that ability to kind of just take what you teach him and apply it full speed in the next 1 or 2 reps. So he's able to learn quickly. He's able to put it on the field. And then him in tandem with the guys that we have already with Buster and Jarian and Jordan and obviously the rest of the group, they all work with each other really well, and they're starting to build that chemistry as they're out there together. So you see for him also, he's not just out there on his own. He's getting alerts from other guys of what to anticipate. So you see them starting to all play a little bit faster together.
No, you weren't here last season, but some of the guys talking about the new wrinkles this year from what they've been able to do, kind of understanding Camp's defense last year, but now they're able to do a lot more with it. What about Camp's style of designing a defense makes it difficult on a QB or an opposing offense?
Yeah, I think what we do extremely well here is we major in everything. So, for a lot of defenses, what they do the most, they have the most detail in. They know how to play it versus everything. The beaters, what it's good against, and the things it's not as good against. In this defense, we take pride in every call we have, feeling like it's our fastball. So that takes a lot of detail, takes a lot of discipline, and for the players, it takes a lot of learning. They have to work at that. So I think in year 2, there's a lot of carryover from what we did. So now, and there's a lot of the same players and same coaches. There's only a couple of new coaches, including myself. So you see, starting in OTAs, there's not that learning curve. They already anticipate and know. So now we can go to the next level on all those calls. So having a lot of fastballs is definitely a good thing, and we take pride in that, but it takes work to get there.
Joint practices have been the name of the game for training camp this year, 3 of them. What do you get most out of that for your group, and what helps them the most going forward?
Yeah. To me, 100%, it's lining up against someone you're not familiar with and you having to play your game. Like I tell the guys all the time, they got to play against you. You don't adjust to what they're doing, they got to adjust against you. They got to watch film all week and see what you're doing, and they got to anticipate how they're going to adjust. For us, we play our game. And it's easy to say that. It's a lot harder to go do that. So getting the opportunity, obviously we have a phenomenal group of receivers here, but as you get their mannerisms and get what they're doing every day, you can start to anticipate and play a little bit faster. When you're going against somebody new, there's that kind of just second to get your depth perception and get a feel for what's going on, and we got to get that out of our system as fast as possible. So the joint practices, almost more than what preseason games were when guys were playing in a bunch from the joint practices, you just get reps and reps and reps. So not only are you getting tired, but you're playing against other competition. So they are phenomenal for experience.
Do you enjoy that environment, kind of like a game where you get to coach them on the fly? You kind of grab somebody, use that as a teaching moment, move on quick?
Yeah, you couldn't have more fun than a joint practice. I mean, you're competing the whole time, you're flying around. It's way faster paced than a game. There's no TV timeouts. So, I love them. I'll do as many as we can.
And then obviously as roster cuts come around soon and you're working with some of these guys that may or may not be on the practice squad going forward, what's kind of a teaching point for you? Obviously at the DB position, you always have to have a short memory, but just as you're trying to make a roster, what's maybe a point you hammer home with a guy that's working towards a roster spot?
Yeah. You can never have a substitute for play style. The way they're being coached here to play the game, every team that's going to watch them play is going to want that on their team. So for those guys, if they just understand and buy into that, we'll clean up the details and we'll put them in positions to be successful. But if they buy into our play style, if we're doing it the way we should, which we are, then that play style is going to be wanted throughout the entire league, and that's what's going to help them get on rosters. So it's really just day in and day out. We just all got to buy in and play for each other, and within that, individual success will come, and those guys will get their opportunity.
You normally don't let an interview run that long, but I was really impressed. This is a guy that they brought from Miami, where he once worked with Anthony. Anthony Campanile is a defensive coordinator who's likely to be a head coach sooner rather than later. Hard not to see what the title they gave him, defensive pass game coordinator, not being a perhaps defensive coordinator in waiting if he has a good year.
No, without a doubt. And obviously just hearing some of the verbiage and hearing what he's saying, I mean, and I agree. I think this first season that Coach Camp defense, it was a lot more meat and potatoes because I think, you had some guys that were still learning the positions and everything and learning the calls and everything. And when you have a bunch of those guys coming back for year number 2 in that same system, it allows you to do some interesting things. You see the Houston Texans, you watch them play defense, it's basically vanilla, right? Because they have studs on every line of that defense. The Jaguars have some great players in their own right, but they also now, I think, are going to have that scheme where it's like you can combine some of that talent with that scheme, and now you're really humming.
Yeah, and as far as Arujo goes, I think he kind of feels like a coach in waiting to me. You know, now that's to say Anthony Campanile would be welcome back if he doesn't get a head coaching gig. Mm-hmm. But I feel like at least he would be the guy who would be the betting favorite. At least he's going to get a look, obviously, if in fact it goes that way with Camp leaving.
Impressive guy for sure, and obviously he's got some talent back there. We talked about Travis Hunter a little earlier, but a guy who emerged last year and I think has been a star of camp is Antonio Johnson. I think the Jaguars are going to have to find a way to pay him. And playing for Matt Arujo and Anthony Perkins, who's a very highly regarded safeties coach, the secondary has a chance to take a big step up. Last year, teams got rid of the ball fast against this defense. Fast, second fastest in the league. They knew they had to get stickier in coverage if they were going to be able to help their pass rush. That's what the task is this year.
It's all about complementary football, right? Your pass rush is only going to be as good as your coverage is, and your coverage is only going to be as good as your pass rush is. And especially, I feel like with this defense, you're going to ask the safeties to do a lot of things this year, right? And I think, there's nothing better than being a safety and being asked, hey, you want to go blitz right now? You want to go kind of, play midfield a little bit and then maybe set a game or a stunt, something like that. So I think it's going to be a fun time to be a safety in this defense.
And I've heard multiple times with what we want to do with Antonio Johnson. He's a versatile guy. You can drop him down.
Blitz him. You can do anything.
And he can play that dime linebacker spot, which gives you a lot of matchup opportunities. They have, if Jordan Lewis is healthy, they have a veteran secondary that has an opportunity, I think, to really help that front.
I agree. And I think one of the things I'm going to be watching tonight, and we'll break that down maybe a little later, but it is that third safety role. Whether it's going to be Lane, by the way, no relation, whether it's going to be Caleb Ransaw or whether it's going to be Jalen Husky, like one of those guys I feel like has to set themselves apart. So if you do go dime, packages and everything, they can come in and not miss a beat.
All right, well, from the backyard to the beaches, the Ford F-150 with available Pro Power onboard gives you the power of a mobile generator. Ford is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. See your local Ford dealer today. Coming up at 5:30 Eastern Time, it's Hour 2 of the Publix Tailgate Show. Mike Dempsey slides into the big chair. When we return, Jaguars analyst Jeff Lageman and Bucky Brooks join us from the booth. The Jags and Panthers coming your way at 7:37 p.m. Eastern. You're listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
Federal employees keep our country going, and GEHA is proud to keep them going with health plans exclusively for them. We were started by postal employees in 1937, and today we offer all federal employees a network of 1.7 million providers and a health plan for every stage of life. That's why we've been trusted by millions of federal employees and retirees across the country since 1937. GEHA. Find your federal health plan at GEHA.com.
Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, Everbank Stadium, they're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game. Before you break ground on any project, make sure to call 811 before you dig. Sunshine 811 is a free service to have underground utility lines marked before digging. For projects of all sizes, creating a game plan can save you time and money. Skipping the call could mean accidentally hitting underground utility lines, which can lead to injuries, expensive repairs, fines, and even service outages in your neighborhood. Let's keep everyone safe. Dial or click ahead. Find out more at peoplesgas.com/811.
RingCentral will completely transform the way you work. It gives you built-in AI across all your business conversations. Your phone system has an AI receptionist that answers calls 24/7. Your video meetings have AI that takes notes instantly. Even your contact center has AI, so you can help customers faster. It all comes together in one reliable platform for effortless AI communications. See for yourself at ringcentral.com. RingCentral, voice of your business.
Feeling hungry, Jaguars fans? Fuel your Duval energy with a delicious Stallmeyer all-beef hot dog on game day as you support your Jacksonville Jaguars. Whether you're at the game or at home, it's not game day without a Stallmeyer hot dog made in Florida. Stallmeyer dogs will fuel your energy to help bring on a victory for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Stallmeyer hot dogs are available at your local Publix supermarkets. Don't feel hungry, Jaguars fans. Fuel your energy with the official hot dog of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Stallmeyer. NFL fans, when it's time to get Jaguars tickets, you can tackle game day with total certainty with Ticketmaster. With 100% verified tickets available all season long, you can count on getting in with ease and spend time focusing on the good stuff. Even if you're headed to the game last minute, you can still score seats. Want to meet up inside the stadium with your crew? Transferring your tickets is an easy handoff. So get those touchdown celebrations ready and score your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/Jaguars.
And welcome back to the Publix Tailgate Show. Brian, Mike, and Austen with you from the Hyundai Studios. Panthers-Jags, 7:37 kickoff here at Everbank Stadium. Today's game is presented by Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster is the official ticket marketplace of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And now we head to the Heritage of North Florida broadcast booth where Jeff Lageman and Bucky Brooks are standing by, and they are sponsored. Bucky and Jeff are presented by Corona. La Playa awaits. Drink responsibly. Beer. Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois. Hello, Bucky and Jeff.
Boy, what's happening, boys?
What's it look like over there?
How we doing? We got a big game tonight.
What's it look like over there? We haven't been in yet.
Well, let me say this. Last night we had Tony Baselli on Jaguars HQ, and Brian, you'll remember we were talking specifically about what this stadium looked like a couple months ago, and really a month ago. There was a crane that was almost right in the middle of this field. And for the staff of people that have gotten this stadium to the point to where it is today to be able to have a game, and the field crew that got this field ready, kudos to all those people, because the field looks absolutely fantastic. And I'm sure that there's nothing is going to be perfect, but I mean, to think that it's looked like now and what it looked like 2 months ago, I mean, that's crazy.
So bananas. It's such a great looking field. The field looks ready. It looks fast. Excited to see the guys play today.
Yeah, and let me just add this, boys. This is a big game tonight. Okay, we're tied up with the Carolina Panthers in a preseason record, 4-4. Okay, it's time to get the upper hand tonight. Okay,
we got the upper hand in the regular season.
That's right, Mike. We got the upper hand in the regular season, but it's time for ownership.
All right, boys. Big one tonight. We'll be circling it for that reason. Time for Finding Solutions, presented by UF Health, the official healthcare partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Liam Cohen's job is to whittle this 90-man roster, 91-man roster down to 53 guys. So what are the solutions? What are the key battles that you'll each be looking at tonight that might be determining a roster spot?
You know, it's not a 53-man roster battle, but I think the starting lineup battle between Ventrell Miller and Branson Combs continues to dominate the conversation. I think just being aware of what they're doing, how they get in and out of the thing is everything. And then I'm looking for a big play on special teams by somebody. Ultimately, these decisions come down to who do the special teams coaches believe can help them the most, who can get a jersey on Sundays. So watching these young guys out on special teams.
Yeah, I'll throw a couple out there. And Jabbar Muhammad and Braswell, not starting roles, but maybe fighting for one roster spot at the safety position. You got a couple draft picks, a third-rounder from this year, Jalen Husky, and then last year's third-round pick, Caleb Bransall. There might only be one there, you know. At the Sam position, Yasir Abdullah, Jalen McLeod. I mean, is there one spot even for those two guys? I don't know. I mean, but look, I mean, tonight's performance and the performance in the joint practices coming up this week against Tampa, and that game against Tampa is going to go a long way towards determining who's going to get those last few spots because, boys, there ain't many.
Guys, when we talk about that starting, off-the-ball linebacker spot between Ventrell Miller and Branson Combs, you really have Ventrell Miller, who's really that physical off-the-ball linebacker. And then Branson Combs can do a little more, I think, in coverage and everything. Who has the advantage right now? Are you taking the physicality, or are you taking more of the guy that can do a little more maybe with Branson Combs?
Austin, what I'd like to do is to take both of those guys and put them in that transporter and have them land as one. You know what I mean? I mean, because, look, they're two different players. I mean, they've got different skill sets, and I think the reality is I think both guys are going to play this year, and I think a lot of that will be role or situational specific.
All right, guys, after last week's preseason game, Liam Cohen indicated maybe he'll play the starters this week, and then it seems like they responded in practice, gave more physical effort. Was it disappointing to you that maybe he didn't get that out of them in the joint practice last week and he needed to give something out there to motivate them, or is that just a normal part of the up and down of training camp?
I think it's a normal part of training camp. I think coaches sometimes can be emotional when it comes to the feel that they have at practice. I think cooler heads prevailed. At the end of it, the goal is to get to the starting line with everyone available. I think he went back and stuck to the plan. But sometimes you got to dangle that carrot out there to make sure that you get the kind of response that you want to see from your team.
Yeah, I think a little adversity in training camp is good. I think sometimes it's like cold water on the face, a jolt of caffeine, whatever it is that you need as a football team to kind of say, hey, look, we still got a lot of work to do. And I think the impressive thing was that the response was there. And it wasn't just there in the joint practice this week against Carolina Panthers. The response started in practice earlier this week. And the joint practice, guys, I was sitting over there at the indoor facility, and the offensive linemen were coming out. I'm going to tell you now, it was like, bulls getting ready to come out of the chute. I mean, these guys were ready to go. And so I give them some credit because they were very physical in that joint practice, and they needed to be because that's who they want to be.
Guys, Liam Cohen has said he's going to err on the side of caution when it comes to playing, guys in the preseason game. Expect to see a lot of 2s and 3s tonight. You saw the physical practice on Wednesday. Are they missing out on something, though, by not having their starters at least play a little bit possibly in the preseason game to kind of get acclimated a little bit? I mean, you're talking about Tootin Rodriguez haven't been tackled to the ground quite yet. So would you want to see them in live meaningful reps in the preseason game, or are you all on board of just saying, hey, get the joint practices and stay healthy?
I think the joint practices are perfect. I mean, really, to get the reps for your starters, it's a controlled environment. The risk of injury is a little bit less. look, I got a pretty good idea what my guy Bashal, Tootin, and Rodriguez can do. I mean, look, I've got game film on Rodriguez. I've got history with Bashal, Tootin, and I've got a lot of practice reps under the belt with those guys. And here's the reality. I don't know a lot about the guys that are in the third and the fourth team on this roster. And look, maybe one of these guys jumps up and surprises me or, earns a practice squad spot. So I think the under the lights game evaluation for that segment of your roster, I think, is really important, Bucky.
Yeah, it's really important. Being one of those guys that has been on the bubble and had to play the full extent of the preseason games, to be able to get 4 full quarters to show to coaches that you're good enough to make the squad, I think you can't ask for anything more than that. And then when it comes to the starters, as much as I would love to see them play in the preseason, I think it's more important to have the team raring to go week one. Even if it takes you a quarter to knock off the rust, I would sacrifice the rustiness to make sure that I got everybody ready to rock.
Yeah, and let me just add something there. I mean, most coaches they want guys to play. I mean, so I think it takes a level of confidence as a head coach to not play guys, because look, I mean, to kind of go back to the old school Tom Coughlin, I mean, coaches want to see it. They want to trust it. And for them to gain trust and to see it, they've got to see it in the game situation. So, I think the wave of the future is this, joint practice and then games, and then hopefully at one point we can go down to just 2 preseason games. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I think you can count on that. That is happening, Loggy. Just whether it's happening at 28 or 29 or 30.
Well, then we get the extra game.
Well, that would be fun, right?
Well, I trust me. I'd much rather call an extra regular season game, than 3 preseason games.
Yeah, I think all of us knew that before you said it, brother. We got you. Have a great broadcast tonight.
Thank you, boys.
Thank you, guys.
Jeff and Bucky. Up next, the second hour of the Publix Tailgate Show. Mike will have the top stories of the day, plus a whole lot more coming through hour 2. And, of course, into countdown to kickoff, the Jags and Panthers come your way at 7:37 p.m. Eastern time. I'm headed to meet Bucky in the TV booth.
Have a good broadcast yourself.
Enjoy it, guys. Have a great one. And they're back after this on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll. Taste the hype only at Jacksonville Publix locations. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
It's here that a tiny newborn has the heart surgery needed to save her life. It's here that a first grader learns to speak clearly and confidently. It's here that a 12-year-old athlete builds the strength to run full speed again. It's here at Wolfson Children's Hospital that answers are found, courage is shown, and odds are beaten every day. Wolfson Children's, always here. Visit wolfsonchildrens.com.
A bold change. A historic development is underway for the Bold City, and the Jacksonville Jaguars and team partners are part of it. The Jaguars' First and Forward Development Partner Program highlights the significant transformative efforts made towards the city of Jacksonville. Belter, Brooks Building Solutions, Jackson Electric Supply, People's Gas, Start Tech, Miller Electric, AECOM Hunt, and WW Gay, championing progress on the field and in the community. The First and Forward Program, the First Coast forward together. Visit Jaguars.com/forward together.
NFL fans, when it's time to get Jaguars tickets, you can tackle game day with total certainty with Ticketmaster. With 100% verified tickets available all season long, you can count on getting in with ease and spend time focusing on the good stuff. Even if you're headed to the game last minute, you can still score seats. Want to meet up inside the stadium with your crew? Transferring your tickets is an easy handoff. So get those touchdown celebrations ready and score your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/Jaguars.
Are you looking for a way to support those who serve? The Jaguars are proud to partner with VetTix, a national nonprofit doing amazing things for our veterans, service members, first responders, and their families. VetTix has given away over 30 million free event tickets nationwide to a wide range of live events, including Jaguars games. These tickets help reduce stress, strengthen family bonds, and create lifelong memories. Join us in supporting their vital work. To donate your unused tickets, discover how to become a member, or support their cause, visit vettix.org or firsttix.org today.
Can you smell it? The sweet scent of victory is already in the air, Jags fans. Wait a minute. That's not victory. That's the warm, buttery, sweet aroma of freshly baked Auntie Anne's pretzels. Your nose knows. Follow it to the nearest Auntie Anne's. Now located right here in Everbank Stadium. Auntie Anne's. Let's get twisted.
The Publix Tailgate Show continues right now.
Publix Tailgate Show, Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. We're a little over 2 hours away from the start of football tonight. Officially 7:37 kickoff time. The Jags hosting the Carolina Panthers here in week 2 of the preseason schedule. Today's game presented by Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster is the official ticket marketplace of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mike Dempsey and Austen Lane from the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center. Austen, as we've talked about some of the themes of this tonight. It looks like it's going to be a case of Liam Cohen holding his frontline guys back, and they're certainly not going to play next week, right? So I think what that does is it does preserve you guys, but it also opens you up to criticism if the team gets off to a slow start in week 1.
No, I mean, that's what it's going to be, right? Because we can sit here and say, well, if they get off to a slow start, why didn't they play? But then, of course, if the starters do play and somebody gets hurt, then we're going to criticize and say, well, why were the starters in the first place, right? So I get erring on the side of caution. And keep in mind, I'm not really sure what the Carolina Panthers' plan is for tonight. I know their GM, I know their head coach wasn't happy with the last performance against the Bills in the preseason game. So what a great opportunity for these 2s and 3s and maybe possibly go against the 1s of Carolina and really get thrown in the mix a little bit and thrown in the fire here on a Friday night.
Right. If you stand out in the first quarter tonight, it's going to earn you a few extra brownie points along the way. Game day weather brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Waterless. Right now, 85 degrees with showers and thunder in the vicinity. I saw some forecasts that indicated should not impact the game. Knock on whatever you got to knock on, brother.
For your sake, man, because I know you have to do the post-game show here as well. So
I'm not trying to be selfish about this, Austen. Let's not have any lightning delay. I appreciate you thinking of me, brother.
I got you, man. I got you.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Here are some of today's top stories. The Jaguars did not practice well, reportedly, in New Orleans. They were only a bit better back in Jacksonville on Monday and Tuesday, but that changed dramatically when Carolina arrived for a joint practice session on Wednesday, and the quarterback of his team knows that they're going to have to get it going to get better, and they have to push one another.
I think there's always days where, you don't necessarily have the most sense of urgency as a collective team, and you got to be able to push the guy next to you and say, let's go, man. Like, this is where we have to grind through it, and we got to bring it every day because that's what it takes. That's what it takes to get better and to be a great team and offense, and you have to bring that. And so it is like you notice it more and more as you get older, just how intentional you have to be with your mindset when you step out here every day, because it's going to be hot. Guys are going to get tired. You're going to have to push past a certain comfort level where guys don't want to go.
Look, it's not just lip service, right? Because these guys are human. You were one of them,
of
right?
Course,
and you still see this happen sometimes in the regular season. Teams come out flat, and you're like, how can this possibly happen? So it shouldn't shock us when we get this at times in training camp.
No, not at all. But this is why I love the joint practices, especially having 3 joint practices with 3 different teams, because I remember going through the dog days of training camp, and everything is so mundane. It's the same thing over and over again, going against the same guys. If you have 3 different opponents in a practice, it's almost like audible, like Red Bull. It's like I'm jacked up, I'm ready to go, because you have to be, right? Like, it's one thing to go against the same teammates every single day, but when you have a different opponent across from you and you're getting recorded in the eye and the sky doesn't lie, dude, you got to put out good tape, because if you don't, you'll be called out in front of your teammates. So I'm a really big fan of these joint practices. I get some people who are saying, okay, well, 3 joint practices with 3 different teams is kind of overkill. I don't think so, because it's all about finding that edge. It's all about finding a way to motivate your guys. Nothing motivates your guys in training camp when it becomes the dog days of summer, like having a different guy across from you.
And if you do create a good, competitive, but respectful environment, you're going to get a lot more reps with Trevor Lawrence and company on the field against the ones from the Panthers, for instance, this week, next week, the Bucs, than you would even if they played tonight. Maybe you're looking at a couple of drives, 10 plays, whatever the case. Trevor's going to turn around and hand off 6 times, and I don't know what you learn. I would have been fine with it if they opted to go that way, because I think that the projected potential opening day offensive line is pretty healthy right now, with the exception of Cole Van Lannon. We don't know if he's going to be ready for opening day either.
No, without a doubt. And, like, it's such a fine line to tiptoe when you talk about those joint practices, though, man, just because, like, obviously it's going to be ramped up and everything, but you want to keep people safe, right? So I don't know if you play some Enya music before the practice starts to kind of calm everybody down, because fights are going to happen, right? It's hot out there. You got guys trying to make roster spots and everything, and you got a new guy across from you. That's a powder keg for some brawls and some fights every once in a while, which we've seen all around the NFL.
No
in terms
doubt
of joint
about
practices.
that. And look, the run game's been a focal point since last season ended. They talked about cleaning up the stink in the running game this offseason. Then it kind of fell off a cliff, statistically speaking, at the end of 2025. The Jaguars wanted to get something out of the ground game against the Panthers, and by all accounts, it looked pretty good.
I think you go against a different defense, different players. During camp, when you go against yourself a lot, spring ball go against yourself a lot, you learn your teammates' tendencies and stuff like that. But, studying and working off of, someone else that you're not really familiar with gives you a true, week-to-week NFL season look. And I think that's the best thing that I take from it.
Look, Bajel Tutin, by all accounts, maybe had his best practice as a Jaguar this week. And you never know what's really happening. At least I don't. What's happening in the running game in a lot of circumstances. You do get some padded practices, but even then, you're not tackling guys fully to the ground a lot of times. So the running backs have a tendency to want to finish every play, take it to the end zone. It was good to see Bajel have some explosives against a different defense.
Without a doubt, because especially when this guy gets in space, it's 8-8 out the gate. He's that talented. He's that quick of a running back. And actually, I caught up with Chris Rodriguez after that practice, and he was gassed, and he'd be the first one to tell you. It was a physical, taxing practice. And I even asked him, I'm like, what's worse, like having to go through this kind of practice, or in high school? I remember he ran the ball for 50 times in a game in Georgia in high school. And I'm like, what's more strenuous? This practice out here in this heat with this intensity, going against these guys every single day, whether it's the Carolina Panthers or this stout defensive line like we refer to the Jacksonville Jaguars to. He said, this is where we're getting our work. He even said, I don't need the preseason game reps to feel confident because I'm getting so much work here at practice.
And that's been kind of a case-by-case basis. I think a lot of guys probably feel that way. Some of the vets have expressed an interest in playing. I don't think they're going to get their wish, obviously, at this point. But it feels like Chris Rodriguez has been everything so far from what we've seen of him that they anticipated him being when they brought him in.
No, without a doubt. And I asked him, obviously, because we have the preconceived notion of what he's going to do, right? He's the short yardage back between the tackles and everything. And I actually asked him in terms of how comfortable he is as a wide receiver, because in Washington, he only had 6 receptions, right? So if you're playing fantasy football, maybe not the guy you want to go to. But he was confident. He was really optimistic that he can be used in the receiving game as well. He's with Liam Cohen in UK, and even said, like, even when in college, Liam Cohen knew what I could do, but we had this receiving running back that got all the receptions and everything. So he's trying to make a good, impression with Liam Cohen and try to get the rock a little more in the air, because if you have a guy who's a between the tackles runner, but then you can kind of throw the sprinkle on of being a receiver as well, that's going to keep defenses on their heels a little bit.
And now you got LaQuint Allen banged up, who profiles as your third down back. If he doesn't get healthy by the start of the season, to me, Amir Abdullah seems like the kind of guy. Like, if you wanted someone to come in and carry it 20 times, Jamari Taylor might be the guy for you. But to fill the role that Tutin plays, I think Amir Abdullah's had an excellent offseason.
No, and let's listen, credit to Taylor, because he's shown in his first preseason game against the Saints that he can handle the workload. And that guy runs hard. There's some rookies that want to kind of dance around a little bit. There's some guys going to lower their shoulder. Taylor is one of those guys. Listen, like, I understand that Abdullah has shown a lot, and I need to get his workout plan, because the guy's going on his 13th season, and he's still looking like he's running a 4.4 or whatever. But you see it with Allen. I mean, you saw it with Allen after the practice of the Saints. He's bigger without his pads on than Travis Etienne was with his pads on, and the picture and everything. And in terms of just kind of being that heart and soul of that running back room, LaQuint Allen is that guy. And keep in mind, maybe you're not going to get 20 carries a game from Allen, but he means so much to him, that special teams room.
The other team is going to know it every time he's on the field, because he's a physical tone setter for you, and he likes to get in people's faces as well. We're talking about the offensive line, circling back to it. It's obviously a big part of the equation with the run game and everything else, and frankly, it's been a grind to get it going with a lot of moving parts along the line being injured. They've had to mix and match. Second-year center Jonah Monheim is one of those guys, and he is dialed in on making improvements.
Again, it's something we're trying to get better at every single day. It's a one day at a time thing.
I'm not going to sit here and think about results, think about, what our stats are for this camp or anything like that. I'm just focused on the process of this. I think our staff and our players have done a great job of emphasizing that and focusing on that process.
Yeah, I feel like, they like his physicality, Monheim, and they like his versatility. I don't feel like he's a strong candidate right now to overtake Robert Hainsey, and I know they mixed him in at right guard as well. I think what they're looking at is we've got a guy who's in the 7th round who might be a quality backup at multiple positions, at least to start the year.
Yeah, you know what I like about a bunch of these guys kind of in the depth, and we'll see if Pregnon gets that starting nod week 1 against Cleveland. But you got Milam, you got Monheim, and you got Pregnon. I all feel like they're kind of cut from the same cloth in terms of they're always willing to finish a play. They're always willing to go to IHOP and get extra pancakes, right? And that's what you want out of your offensive line. I had a defensive line coach in Joe Cohen who had a philosophy of stopping the run, and I feel the same way when it comes to blocking for the run. He always used to tell me that stopping the run is attitude. Getting after the quarterback is talent. And I think it's the same way when you talk about blocking for an offensive line, right? Like, yeah, you have to get your footwork and your hand placement, but at the end of the day, the more hungry guys in the trenches are going to win that battle, right? When we talk about pass setting and those steps back to that hand placement, then it gets a little more intricate. But when it comes to running the football, it's all about attitude. And we've seen Pregnon in that Saints game. You put him next to Anton Harrison now on the left side. I like that. We see Monheim, what he's capable of, being a more physical center. And then we've seen Wyatt Milam finish some plays as well. You like where it's going to be going forward.
Yeah, certainly with Pregnon, as we discussed in hour number 1. I mean, he jumped off the screen at you last week. Hopefully, if he gets into the game tonight or whenever he gets the opportunity, that will continue. The Jags did not have a first-round draft pick this spring, so the attention focused on tight end Nate Borkacher at pick 56. The head coach pleased with Nate and 5th-round pick Tanner Koziol for that matter, and believes they're both going to have a role in the 12 and 13 personnel looks this year. Borkacher said he's starting to feel more comfortable with the playbook.
Yeah, I'm getting there. There's a lot to take in. I've learned a lot. I'm just taking it day by day. The more reps I get, the easier it feels. It's less, kind of thinking about what I got or what the call is, and more about technique now rather than thinking about scheme.
I think for a good portion of the offseason, it was easier for Tanner Koziol to stand out because of the role he's going to play. Right? He's going to be a red zone weapon. Mm-hmm. The ball's in the air. You see that 6'7" frame going up to get it. But you had Strange and Borkacher having back-to-back touchdowns, and then Jacoby Myers followed up with another one on 3 consecutive plays. Borkacher ripping the cap off the football and chugging it down to celebrate a little bit.
And then a spike as well.
I mean, is he already full Duval at this point? It's not going to take much because the people outside of Jacksonville have been as critical of this draft as any the Jags have had, and particularly the Borkacher pick at 56. I think the Duval fans, if he gives them anything, are ready to embrace this guy.
No, without a doubt. And he's in such an interesting position, right? And I spoke on this actually on Monday on Jags Happy Hour a little bit. Like, fans are going to put the fantasy numbers next to Nate Borkacher and say, okay, well, we drafted him where we drafted him, so he better have 8 touchdowns, and 500 yards receiving. But if you can be a top 10 running team with, him at the tight end and 12 personnel and everything, that's a win for me where you drafted him. And I'm going to be honest, I understood he's a very willing blocker. Obviously, that's what he was touted as in college. Didn't necessarily get the ball a lot at Texas A&M. But I think his ball skills are pretty legit, too, as well. You saw that against the Panthers, and you saw the celebration and everything. Like, this offense and the way the scheme's going to go, I think, with play-action pass and boot and everything, there's going to be opportunities for whether it's Nate Borkacher, whether it's Brenton Strange, Koziol, whoever it's going to be, to get open, right? That play-action's going to get you open. Now it's a matter of fact, can you capitalize on those opportunities? And so far, so good, it looks like, for Nate Borkacher.
All right, the Jaguars have plans for 2028, and they'll be back better than ever, be among the first to experience the stadium of the future and cement your place in Jaguars history. Place your deposit now by visiting jaguars.com/SOTF tickets and join the future of the Jaguars. Up next, we'll get a look around the National Football League. Kickoff coming up at 7:37 p.m. for the Jaguars and Panthers inside Everbank Stadium. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Wow! Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll. Taste the hype only at Jacksonville Publix locations. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Are you looking for a way to support those who serve? The Jaguars are proud to partner with VetTix, a national nonprofit doing amazing things for our veterans, service members, first responders, and their families. VetTix has given away over 30 million free event tickets nationwide to a wide range of live events, including Jaguars games. These tickets help reduce stress, strengthen family bonds, and create lifelong memories. Join us in supporting their vital work. To donate your unused tickets, discover how to become a member, or support their cause, visit vettix.org or firsttix.org today.
Ever see someone walking with a weighted pack around Jacksonville? That's rucking, with an R, moving with weight on your back. It builds strength, endurance, and crushes calories. After my wife and I served post 9/11, we started Go Ruck, a family business rooted in service and community, proud to call Jack's home. Go Ruck, built in Jacksonville, rucking everywhere in the world. Check out our gear at goruck.com. That's GORUCK.com.
Most of the time, La Playa sounds like this. For some, La Playa also sounds like this.
The 30, the 20, the 10.
But no matter what, this is our playa. Corona, La Playa awaits. Relax responsibly. Corona Extra Beer, imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
Is your organization ready to tackle its toughest challenges? For more than 30 years, CSI Companies has partnered with healthcare and technology organizations nationwide. From consulting on strategic projects to staff augmentation and workforce solutions, they help organizations navigate complex challenges with confidence. Learn more at csicompanies.com. That's csicompanies.com.
Dreamfinders Homes was recently named the #1 home builder in Jacksonville. They have 30-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida, which is why the Jaguars have proudly called Dreamfinders their official home builder since 2014. Dreamfindershomes.com is where Jags fans can shop for their dream home and find out what makes Dreamfinders #1 in Duval. Beautifully styled, quality built, ready to move in homes at the best prices. Shop now at dreamfindershomes.com and go Jags.
Mike Dempsey and Austen Lane from the Hyundai Studios as the Publix Tailgate Show continues. We're inside 2 hours for the Jags and Panthers. Kickoff time 7:37 p.m. here in Jacksonville. Today's game presented by Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster is the official ticket marketplace of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Around the NFL, presented by Paramount Plus, the streaming home of your live local NFL on CBS games. Here's a look at what's happened in the NFL. A couple of games in the preseason last night. Vegas knocks off Houston 22-20, but the Texans led that 20-3 at the half. Rookie quarterback Fernando Mendoza, 8 of 15 for 87 yards and an interception that was returned 80 yards for a TD for the Raiders. After the game, Raiders head coach Clint Kubiak said he's not quite ready to name his starter between Mendoza and veteran Kirk Cousins just yet. Today, the Texans play second-year wide receiver Jaden Higgins on season-ending injured reserve with a torn ACL, and along the way signed former Jaguar wide receiver Zay Jones in addition to veteran Sterling Shepard. Also last night, San Francisco over the LA Chargers 41-17 for the Niners. Running back Sincere McCormick had 53 yards and a touchdown on 6 carries. A trio of games tonight that includes the one here in Jacksonville. At 7 o'clock, the Jets are in Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. And at 9 p.m., you'll get Green Bay and Denver. The other matchups tomorrow include Commanders, Lions, Bills, Browns, Falcons, Colts, the Ravens in Minnesota to take on the Vikings, Saints and the Rams. By the way, the Saints and the Cowboys both fined $500,000 for excessive fights during their joint practices. By the way, Jerry Jones wondering who he can send that bill to. So Saints, Rams tomorrow, Giants, Dolphins, Bears, Bengals, Eagles, Patriots, Chiefs, Bucks, and Cowboys, Cardinals. And then the weekend will wrap up with Seattle and Tennessee on Sunday. And Seattle getting some bad news today. Wide receiver Jake Bobo, who had signed an offer sheet to play here in Jacksonville this offseason before the Seahawks matched it, suffered what head coach Mike McDonald referred to as a serious knee injury at practice, feared to be season ending. So there's your look around the National Football League.
Teams are getting fined now for fighting, huh?
Apparently,
That's wild.
$500,000 for fighting in joint practice. I guess it got a little excessive between the Saints and the Cowboys.
Well, thank God that wasn't around when I was playing, man, because me and Evan Britton were probably like bankrupted this team just fighting between ourselves.
As long as it was getting done by the team and they were responsible for it, I don't doubt you would have been the same guy. But you know, if they go into individuals' pockets, I think we might see a little bit different story
for sure
in training camp. Grant Udinski, folks, Jaguars offensive coordinator, is a popular guy. The Jags' young OC interviewed in Cleveland and Buffalo after last season's success on offense. He's expected to be as hot a name after this season as well. He learned a lot in that process, he says, but the smile says that he's glad to be in Jacksonville with Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence. Brian Sexton caught up with Grant Udinski after the Jaguars' joint practice session with the Panthers.
How's camp going?
Camp's going well. It's never a straight line in terms of progress. You want to see improvement every single day, but you know it's gradual. There's ups and downs, but it's the trend line that really matters. And I think you see that with the different groups collectively and each guy individually. There are certain things that groups are focused on. There's certain guys that things are focused on, and they're working hard to get that extra work after practice, between meetings, or even just during individual periods, team periods, really being intentional about the way they practice every day. So that's always encouraging.
Do you cling to the time that you have before the start of the regular season, or are you ready for it to get here?
It's probably a little bit of both simultaneously. I think you miss it every moment you're away from it, but once you get back in it and you realize your life is over, you miss the other stuff as well, too. It's kind of a unique position to be in, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, but trying to explain to people who aren't in this that once July rolls around, your life is over till February, so we'll check back in then.
How you doing with the offensive line? I mean, it's been the big story that you've had to mix and match some things, and guys are dinged up. You get frustrated, or you've been around this game long enough to know it's just what it is?
It's certainly something we expect to have happen going into the training camp especially, but even the regular season. I feel like I talk to our guys and even the media about it all the time, that we know we're not going to have the same 5 starters for every snap, for every single play for the entire season. We're fortunate that we have guys that go left, they go right, they go inside, they go outside. So it makes it a lot less stressful for a guy in my position, where I've been in places where one guy goes down and the entire game plan or the entire offense gets flipped up on its head. And we're in a position where we can adjust a couple things here and there as guys move spots, but we really don't have to completely overhaul, which is a wonderful thing.
Is your running game making progress? I know that's been a focus, and with the offensive line shifting, do you feel like it's on track?
It's always hard to gauge what's on track and what's not, because like I said, you have your up days and then you have a down day, then you have an up day and you have a down day. But I'm really encouraged with the progress that guys have been making from an understanding and the identity that we've developed in the run game. There's been a couple different concepts that we try to focus on, and then once you get mastery of those concepts, you start to sprinkle in these complementary concepts. So we're kind of in that phase where we've gone through all of the installs, and now guys are really mastering the concepts that we want to be our identity in the run game.
I can't interview you without asking about the quarterback, because everyone wants to hear about Trevor. How's Trevor's summer been?
Yeah, well, if you ask me about Trevor, you're probably going to get about the same answer every time, because he's such a joy to coach. I mean, I can't tell you how thankful I am to have a guy like Trevor, and how grateful I am for just the person that he is and the attitude he brings to work every single day. His humility, his coachability. He's a guy that truly wants what's best for the team, his teammates, and that's rare. We all have our own pride and things that we're shooting for, but he is unafraid to show up and be coached or be critiqued, because he knows it's in vain of that pursuit of improvement every single day. He steps on the grass or he's in the meeting room, and that's all you can ask for as a coach. And hopefully that continues to pay dividends for him. I think we saw some of the fruits of it towards the end of the year last year, and I think we'll continue to see it hopefully throughout the season this year.
Listen, that's the question I get. Will he pick up where he did last year? Is that the expectation, or do you expect it to be even higher than he was?
Once again, those things where you're trying to gauge, is somebody on track? Where are they relative to last year? Where are they relative to last week? Those are so difficult, because there's no apples-to-apples comparison of football. You would love to say that when you run a certain play, a certain pass play, that it's the exact same scenario, exact same situation as it was last year. But this time we go out in training camp and run it, there might be pressure. It's a different coverage, or a different look, or it's a different time clock, a different motion. So it's really difficult to have that apples-to-apples comparison and say he's quantitatively this much better than he was last year. But I'm certainly encouraged and pleased with the progression that he's made from an understanding in the classroom, from the process on the field, from the way he handles the huddle, the operation, all of those things that maybe don't always show up on the field. I think we see improvement in those, and those are a little bit easier to measure.
And with this, why do you do this to yourself? For people who can't see, it's radio, full sweatsuit on a hot day. You're a young guy in great shape. What are you doing?
I appreciate it. I don't know about the great shape, but I'll take it. I appreciate that. I started it. Well, I'm the same thing every day guy. So I wear the same exact thing every single day, so I don't have to worry about that decision. Just try to be consistent. I really started it thinking that I'm trying to come from Minnesota, where I was coaching last, down here to Jacksonville. I got to get adjusted to the heat. And what I wanted to feel was, what do the players feel like with the pads on, with the heat? And it's really hard to replicate that. Now I'm standing out there coaching, so I'm not replicating it, but at least the sweatsuit gives me a little bit of a feeling of understanding what these guys are going through with the full pads and helmet, because it's a different animal when you got all that weight on and you're out here in the humidity and sweat. And so this is my tiny little taste, my 2% taste of what these guys are going through, so I have a little bit better feel.
Are you at least going to jump in the cold tub?
No, not for me. I'll leave that to the guys and let them enjoy that.
All right, Grant Udinski, man of the people, showing he's suffering right alongside these players. The exclusive extended conversation with the Jags OC available on the official Jaguars podcast network. Subscribe free wherever you download your podcast. Now, coming up still this hour, we'll talk with Frank Frangie, Kai Stevens, John Oehser. But Austen, time for some keys to victory with you, presented by Little Caesars. Use code Jaguars15 for 15% off orders of $15 or more. So victory is not necessarily the goal in terms of the final score. I know they want to compete every time they're out there, but of course, what are the things that will determine whether or not the Jags are successful tonight?
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's rumblings saying that the Panthers might play some of their ones for a little bit of time. And if that's the case, I'm watching this Jaguars defense, right? Because there's some guys in the secondary that you could be getting, opening day reps against Cleveland, whether it's Jerrion Jones, whether it's Caleb Ransaw, whether it's, Rayon Lane, whether it's Jalen Husky. So they're going to have a challenge in front of these guys trying to shut down Bryce Young and those wide receivers if they do, in fact, play. I'm watching the same stuff, though, I said last week, right? This is the preseason game. Sure, a win is fun, but being healthy is even funner. That's where more fun, I guess you would say. But I'm watching for the pre-snap penalties, right? We saw a couple of them last week against the Saints, but can they keep cleaning those up, right? Because the pre-snap penalties are what can carry over to week one against Cleveland. You don't want to see that. So how do they handle pre-snap penalties? I'm cool with a little pass interference roughing the pass every once in a while. That's fine. But pre-snap penalties are going to be big as well.
Look, I think we all agree you want to see Trevor Lawrence play every snap this year, right?
Yes.
And anytime you go to the backup, hopefully it's in a blowout in your favor or not out of necessity. Nick Mullins struggled last week. The protection wasn't great, but reportedly had a bounce-back week across the whole week of practice, not just in the joint practice. So hopefully, some of these reserve offensive linemen, even if they're not going to make the 53, they're playing for a spot on the practice squad. I'd like to see those guys show up, like you said, against the frontline Carolina defensive line.
And listen, the backup quarterback's an important position. Hopefully we don't have to use it here, but if you look around the NFL last year, 33% of the starting quarterbacks last year sat out at least one game, if not two games. So that's 1/3 right there, right? Now, I don't want those odds in Jacksonville, but just in case it comes down to it, you got to have confidence in your backup quarterback. Mullins didn't show that much against the Saints. Arm strength was lacking a little bit. Carter Bradley came in and didn't get off to the hottest start, but finished strong. So, I mean, that's going to be a battle, I feel like, to watch a little bit.
Yeah, Bradley can zip it a little bit, but, Liam Cohen did say he's got a lot of confidence in Nick Mullins this week, and I think his knowledge of the system and what to do as much as how to do it is carrying a lot of that weight here for Nick Mullins. Hopefully he and the Jaguars reserves play better off the rip tonight. All right, there you go. Your look at some keys to victory with Austen Lane. Coming up next, Kai Stevens and John Oehser join us from the booth. We're about an hour and a half away from the 7:37 p.m. Eastern kickoff time for the Jaguars and Panthers. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
Feeling hungry, Jaguars fans? Fuel your Duval energy with a delicious Stahlmeyer all-beef hot dog on game day as you support your Jacksonville Jaguars. Whether you're at the game or at home, it's not game day without a Stahlmeyer hot dog made in Florida. Stahlmeyer dogs will fuel your energy to help bring on a victory for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Stahlmeyer hot dogs are available at your local Publix supermarkets. Don't feel hungry, Jaguars fans. Fuel your energy with the official hot dog of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Stahlmeyer.
Jacksonville builders score big with DL Cabinetry. As the official cabinet supplier of the Jacksonville Jaguars, they offer top quality kitchen and bathroom cabinetry for any project. Enjoy fast turnaround, complimentary design, and great prices. Visit dlcabinetry.com today to learn more and to become a dealer. Limited spots available. DL Cabinetry, the winning choice for builders.
Today, everybody knows the chant. Duval!
But long before it echoed through stadiums, there was another name Jacksonville already trusted. Big number 1 Duval Ford. For 110 years, we're proud to be Jacksonville's only family-owned Ford dealership. For generations, we've helped local families find the right vehicle at the right price, with hometown service you can count on. We've also proudly served the local businesses that help our community thrive with Big number 1 Duval Ford Pro Elite. Visit Big number 1 Duval Ford at 1616 Cassett Avenue or shop anytime at duvalford.com.
2 hours ago, Kyle arrived at the bar.
Hey, what's everyone drinking?
30 minutes ago, Kyle got his friends another round of drinks.
Cheers!
5 minutes ago, Kyle decided to drive home drunk. A minute ago, a law enforcement officer pulled up behind Kyle.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
A chain of events that began 2 hours ago is about to change Kyle's whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Brought to you by FDOT.
The new Smokin' Honey Melts are now at Firehouse Subs. Founded by firefighters, so when they make a new melt, they build it right. Melty, toasty, and packed with prime rib or grilled chicken breast, then drizzled with their new Smokin' Honey Chipotle sauce. Sweet, smoky, built right. It takes a Firehouse kitchen to make a melt this good. Try the new Smokin' Honey Melts today, only at Firehouse Subs at participating U.S. restaurants.
A bold change. A historic development is underway for the Bold City, and the Jacksonville Jaguars and team partners are part of it. The Jaguars' First and Forward Development Partner Program highlights the significant transformative efforts made towards the city of Jacksonville. Belter, Brooks Building Solutions, Jackson Electric Supply, People's Gas, Start Tech, Miller Electric, AECOM Hunt, and WWK, championing progress on the field and in the community. The First and Forward Program, the First Coast forward together. Visit jaguars.com/forward together.
Mike Dempsey and Austen Lane from the Hyundai Studios for the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Jags and Panthers official kickoff time tonight, 7:37 p.m. Eastern Time. No inactives in the preseason, although it's pretty much filtered out by now that the starters are the inactives tonight, Austen. We may see a couple of linemen in uniform, but unless there is a rash of injuries, we're not going to see guys like Emmanuel Pregnon and Jonah Monheim even. And that's the way that Liam Cohen is opting to go. Look, he's the head coach. He won 13 games last year. I think a lot of people give him the trust with the equity that he built up. And, and of course, you lose to Cleveland. Everyone's going to change immediately on that.
But it's not only Liam Cohen as well, right? This is the whole Sean McVay coaching tree type of thing, right? They like to rest their starters and everything. Andy Reid would rather play Patrick Mahomes coming off of a torn ACL. I mean, every coach has their own belief system. And you know what? I'm going to trust the guy that won 13 games last season until I don't.
Exactly. Until proven wrong. Hey, folks, from the backyard of the beaches, the Ford F-150 with available Pro Power onboard gives you the power of a mobile generator. Ford, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. See your local Ford dealer today. Let's head to the booth right now. Kai Stevens and John Ogier are standing by as they join us here on the broadcast. Good, I guess, evening, lady and gentlemen. How are things over in the stadium?
Well, there's a lady. I'm not sure there's a gentleman, but it's I
try to give you the benefit of the doubt, John.
And listening to the intro, there are certainly inactives,
and, just not official,
and
more than we could probably put on a graphic.
Yeah. Look, Austen played, so he may feel differently, but I always kind of wondered when I was watching teams that would play their starters for 2 series, like, how much 2 series really made a difference in prep compared to practice. And as you said, clearly Liam leans into what is becoming the NFL norm of number 1 priority with a bullet in preseason, get to the regular season healthy at all costs.
And I think it was a little bit of a challenge, right? Like, kind of, yes, I'll play my players if I have to, but if I can see what I want to see out of them in a joint practice, which they had with the Panthers this week, then that's not necessary. And they also have 2 days of joint practice next week with the Buccaneers. So I think there's still some days where he can get the work that he wants to get in and see what he needs to see from some of the young guys. But I think it'll be very similar to what we saw in the first game.
Yeah, guys, he wrestled with it until he saw that practice on, what was it, Kai? Wednesday, I guess. So yeah, here we are.
Well, I was just going to say, too, he almost gave an ultimatum saying, depending how that joint practice goes, depends on if the starters will be playing at all in the preseason. You guys were obviously at both joint practices now in New Orleans and then, in Jacksonville with the Carolina Panthers. Was it that drastic of a change? I was at the Panthers practice, and it was physical. That they were firing on some cylinders and everything. It wasn't perfect, but I think they made improvements from New Orleans. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Austen, it was almost like your dad said, "Okay, you want the day off? You better work for it." I thought from start it was a dramatic difference. I said on a couple shows this week. I'm not sure I've ever seen an NFL practice where it was so obvious how fired up, how motivated one team was. Maybe, Kai, it was the fact there were some fans there, which gave it some energy, and there were at the one this week, the fans gave it energy when we walked off the show that we were doing early. You could hear people cheering. But, guys, Austen, you played before the CBA when there were some two-a-day practices that were really violent hitting. For about 10 minutes there on Wednesday, there was some real hitting. Kai and I were standing next to each other, and there were guys on the ground. And when they fell to the ground, all the coaches weren't yelling, "Get up, get up, get up." So it was a more physical thing, and I thought it was a big difference from any practice that I've seen in a while.
The energy was better. I think the energy from both sides as well. Like, there was just, even on special teams, you saw them getting after it with the special teams plays, which normally is kind of like a break period for some of us during training camp. But for me, what I kind of harken back to, I don't think New Orleans was terrible. They definitely had a better practice against the Panthers, but I harken back to last year when they had that Dolphins practice, which was really bad, and I think Liam obviously was in his first year, so maybe didn't have a lot to compare to, but I know he didn't like that, so he's trying to avoid anything going later and not seeing that energy that he wants to see, and especially knowing he has two more coming up with Tampa that I'm sure he wants to come and show out with his team, with his new team, against his old team. So definitely making a point to the players now.
All right, guys, among the offensive linemen who did play last week, Emmanuel Pregnon made the biggest impression. In fact, some say he played the best of any Jaguar in that game against the Saints. So the starting offensive line for team drills this week, including that joint practice with the Panthers, was Anton Harrison at left tackle, Pregnon at left guard, Hainsey at center, Ezra Cleveland at right guard, and Walker Little at right tackle. Without knowing whether or not Cole Van Lanen will be ready to go week one, how close do you think that fivesome is to the starting unit this year?
It's close. It looked really good, and they were really impressed and happy. So this is a regime that believes in what it sees on the practice field. Let's assume that Cole Van Lanen doesn't start week one, which I don't think is a correct assumption. I think it's going to be close. But if he doesn't, Chuma Edoga could still start over at right tackle. It'll be either Chuma or Walker Little over there. But I think the other four, I think something now, Kai, will have to happen for it not to be those other four. And I'm projecting on Pregnon, but it feels like, it's getting to be his to lose over there.
I think Pregnon is this year's example of kind of like a BJ Green, a Danny Strigow, going out and earning it in the preseason, in training camp. They don't care if you're the veteran that's getting paid money or whatever. They will play you if you're the best player at that position. And Pregnon's come out. He's big. You cannot teach to be that size of a person.
No, you can't,
and if you
can't teach that strength either.
You cannot. Yeah. And to have him and Anton on the left side, I think that's really appealing to them. Is he going to have some growing pains and learn on the fly? Probably. But as long as he doesn't make any crucial mistakes, I think in the next couple of weeks, this is probably going to be your starting pretty close to what your starting lineup is going to be. Obviously, a lot depends on Cole Van Lanen, but I think it'll be pretty close.
It's the preseason, and it's really the only time we actually talk about this position unless it's an emergency in the regular season, knock on wood. But when we talk about the backup quarterback position with Nick Mullins, didn't have his best game against the New Orleans Saints. Liam Cohen has spoken his praises. How important is this game for Nick Mullins? Do you guys feel like he's already slotted in as that backup quarterback? Could they bring in other people? Does Carter Bradley have a shot? What's the feeling right now with Nick Mullins as the backup quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Yeah, I'd be really, really, really surprised if he's not the backup. I think just philosophically they have chosen to go that route of, hey, if Trevor isn't there, then it's going to be tough for this team to reach its goals. They also, look, what direction are you going to go if it's not Nick Mullins? He knows the system. He's been here. I guess it could be disastrous enough where that changes. But Kai, I would just be surprised if it's not Nick Mullins as the backup.
I think I described this on Jags AM as my old past gambling days. I like to go all in. You just go. All the eggs are in the Trevor Lawrence basket. If he gets hurt, so be it. But that's where they're at. They're not going to try to hedge on that at all. They have Nick Mullins. If he needs to play, they'll get to that point. I'm hopeful that either Carter Bradley or Joey Aguilar can show enough to be on the practice squad and get them a good scout team, because I think they both have good arms. They're young quarterbacks. I think that can be a lot more helpful. I think the Nick Mullins thing is just, it is what it is at this point. And I know that's an issue for some Jaguars fans, but I just don't see that changing this year.
Yeah, guys, this regime is also pretty nimble on its feet. I mean, if it sees the next 2 weeks that it just can't work with that, they won't be scared to go make a move, but I just don't get the feeling that's imminent unless something really, really disastrous happens.
Yeah, agreed. After Liam Cohen said this week, look, I trust Nick Mullins. He's the one whose trust you have to earn. Yeah. Kai and John, last week we saw some, interesting performances from guys who hadn't flashed a whole lot in camp. I'm thinking like Wesley Williams. Obviously, Pregnon was making a name for himself. So if you could, each give us a player you'll be looking for tonight, whether they're in a position battle or they're just in a battle to make the 53.
Yeah, the other Brian Thomas Jr., meaning with
100%.
With a Y.
He has it was almost like you didn't have time to think about him because you had 4 other edges behind Trayvon and Josh. And you sort of assumed that, hey, the guys they drafted, the guys we've been talking about, Brian Thomas Jr. is going to make decisions very difficult for this regime if he continues to ascend the way he has, if he plays the way he did last week. I'm watching him tonight, Kai.
I think you're dead on with those edge rushers on the edge. Whoever makes it to practice squad isn't probably going to be on this team's practice squad. Probably get grabbed by somebody else because they feel like they have a lot of edge depth right now. I'm going to be looking at Caleb Ransaw a little bit because we hadn't seen him, right? Like that was his first ever football game against the Saints. So hard to forget. He got hurt very early in training camp last year, so this is the first action we're seeing of him. And there's a crowded DB room in there. And from what I've seen of Jalen Husky, he's really impressed me. So Caleb Ransaw's got to show out as well. I'm going to be looking at the DBs and kind of what they're doing and how much each of them gets played. Jabbar Muhammad played almost the entire game against the Saints. Whether they'll do that again, I'm not sure, but I'm going to be watching the DBs in this one.
And my understanding is they liked what they saw of Ransaw after the game the other day. He didn't play all of last season. Maybe started a little bit slow, but my understanding is he's been picking it up of late.
All right, Kai and John, enjoy the game tonight. Thanks for stopping by. We'll talk soon.
Thanks.
Guys, thanks.
All right, there you go. You can join John Ogier, Kai Stevens, and Brian Sexton on Jags AM Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings on Jaguars.com. We're inside 20 minutes from Jaguars radio network coverage with countdown to kickoff starting at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. But up next, Jags-Panthers coming up at 7:37 p.m. Eastern time. Frank Frangi's going to stop by, and we'll have our player interview with Jamari Taylor coming your way. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Wow! Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll. Taste the hype only at Jacksonville Publix locations. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
NFL fans, when it's time to get Jaguars tickets, you can tackle game day with total certainty with Ticketmaster. With 100% verified tickets available all season long, you can count on getting in with ease and spend time focusing on the good stuff. Even if you're headed to the game last minute, you can still score seats. Want to meet up inside the stadium with your crew? Transferring your tickets is an easy handoff. So get those touchdown celebrations ready and score your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/Jaguars.
Game day means it's time to get loud, get proud, and get real. As a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Deep Eddy Vodka brings real flavor made with real ingredients to every tailgate, watch party, and post-game toast. Handcrafted in small batches in Austen, Texas, Deep Eddy Vodka is distilled 10 times and is made with purified Texas water, real fruit juice, and pure cane sugar. Wherever you're cheering on the Jaguars, make every moment a real one with Deep Eddy Vodka, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Please stay drink responsibly. Deep Eddy Vodka is a product of Deep Eddy Distilling Company, Austen, Texas. 35-40% alcohol by volume, distilled from corn.
Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Catch epic showdowns in Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Denver. Catch big city brawls in New York, Chicago, and Dallas. And support your Jaguars in divisional clashes in Houston, Nashville, and Indianapolis. View real-time parking, security, and flight updates on flyjacks.com. Whether you stick with the play call or need an audible, they'll be your teammate every step of the way. The play clock is counting down, so book your nonstop flights today. Learn more at flyjacks.com.
Listen up. If our kids are to grow up healthy, we have to work together out there. A healthier tomorrow depends on the calls that we make today. It's about eating right and focusing on their physical and mental health. We should be reading to our kids every night. Can you give me 60 minutes of physical activity every day?
Yes, I can.
This is our healthy playbook. We do this as a team. Our kids win. Who's with me?
Get healthy at nemours.org/Jaguars. Nemours Children's Health. Proud pediatric partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, Everbank Stadium, they're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
This is the Publix Tailgate Show. Mike Dempsey and Austen Lane from the Hyundai Studios. The Jacksonville Jaguars and Carolina Panthers coming up. Kickoff time set for 7:37 p.m. Eastern right here in Jacksonville inside Everbank Stadium. And we're just inside 15 minutes away from countdown to kickoff on the Jaguars Radio Network, presented by UF Health, the official healthcare partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Today's player interviews presented by big number one Duval Ford. Rookie running back Jamari Taylor, coming off a 22-carry performance last Saturday, scored the game-winning touchdown in the fourth quarter, added the two-point conversion as well. Fair to say he's off to a pretty good start. Taylor's had a nice camp, and Brian Sexton was able to run him down after practice earlier this week.
How's the transition been from college to professional? It's not always easy, but so far you've made it look that way.
Man, really, I say the biggest thing would be from transitioning to college, to the pros is every little detail. You basically your own CEO. In college, you have planned out schedules and things like that where you got to be day to day. But in the pros, man, it's basically you got a whole bunch of free time. So whatever you do with your free time, you got to be all in the playbooks. It's all about the playbook and being available on special teams and stuff like that.
You made the jump from North Carolina Central to Virginia. You had to prove yourself, and boy, did you. 1,000 yards, 14 touchdowns. Do you feel like it's the same sort of jump here? You kind of have to come in and prove yourself?
Yeah, every day, man, because, you can't take this thing for granted. Waking up, being blessed to play this sport every day. So is everybody, at the pros, everybody's elite because I feel like, the guys at the pro level, they wouldn't be here, man, if they wasn't, pro level guys, elite guys. So everybody's elite. So you got to find like the little things that you can, work on your craft and stuff like that to be, available and be the best of your ability at this level.
Did you know coming in that this was a team that was determined to improve in the running game?
Man, really, yes. When I spoke with Coach Chad Morton, he was telling me about, the offense and things like that because they was basically the first team I met with, actually, through, my draft process and things like that. And telling me about it, man, and then, hearing about Coach Cohen and his background, man, it was really great to hear, and I really enjoyed it.
You've got some veteran players, some young veteran players in that room with you. You got a guy like Amir Abdullah, right, who's 12 years into the NFL. How has that room helped you and shaped you to give the kind of performance you did in New Orleans with 22 carries?
Oh, man, I just, the guys that's been here, that's been in the league, in that room with DJ Dallas, Chris Rodriguez, Amir Abdullah, man, I look up to them guys, even though, Bayshaw Tootin, Q Allen. So, man, really looking up to them guys, even though, Q and Bayshaw, this is their second year in the league. They still got things to grow on. We all still got things to grow on. So learning from the guys that's been there, in the league longer than us, learning from them, taking, every little thing we can get from them, man, and, be able to be the best running back crew that we can be in the NFL.
You can't be at this level without a strong sense of who you are and confidence. But as a rookie coming in, sometimes this is an intimidating thing to be. Did it take you long to realize I belong at this level? I can be an NFL player?
I say when I first got here, it was, a little bumpy start because, coming in from college to the pros, you don't know what to expect. So any little thing, as a rookie, you don't know if anything that you do can get you cut or get you, placed on the team. So you're thinking about a whole bunch of things. Then you got to learn a whole big, the system, the playbook, and all that, man. Everything's hitting at once. So you got to take it with a grain of salt, man, and just believe in yourself and believe that they brought you here for a reason. So all you got to do is just believe in that.
And that reason, obviously, is to develop, right? I mean, you've got a veteran room in front of you. They don't need you to play this year. So this is about you getting better and then being ready, right? That's what this is for you.
Exactly, man, because you don't want to, come in and, they throw you out there in the fire and you're not ready for it. So I feel like with this process, man, with developing, you got to take a full advantage of it, which I have, and been grateful for the guys that I've been around, man, even in other, position groups and stuff like that, the coaches, player engagement, and even the fans, man. So I feel like it's been a great process for me so far.
All right, there you go. Jaguar rookie running back Jamari Taylor with Brian Sexton. The Jaguars broadcast booth presented by Heritage of North Florida, Jacksonville's premier roofing and remodeling companies. We welcome in the voice of the Jaguars from the booth, Frank Frangie. Hello, Frank.
Hi, Mike. How are you doing? How's Austen? How's everybody on a hot but a beautiful Friday afternoon here?
Rumor is it's hot out there. It's nice and air conditioned in the Miller Electric Center right now, so we're appreciating that. Frank, last week, Jags were behind 20-6 at the half and, talked a lot about rebounding, resiliency. They came back and won. How good of a test is this, though, tonight for guys who are fighting for their place on this roster if the Carolina Panthers do play their frontline guys for a series or two, knowing that the Jags reserves are going up against them?
I think it matters, Mike. First of all, I think last week winning mattered. I think that's part of your culture. People say it didn't matter, all the backups are in the game. It does matter. It's a winning locker room. It was a winning plane when we flew home. So I think that matters. And, I think Bryce Young's probably going to play a series or two. That's everything we're hearing. So I think it's a really good test for guys who are either going to be backups or trying to make the team. So, you get a pretty good idea. You don't get too caught up in who's ahead at the end of a quarter, Mike, because if one team's playing starters and the other's playing backups, that's not a fair fight. But you can see, to your point and to your question, who plays well and who shows out. So, I think for those guys, it's very important.
Frank, I've been talking about all day, man. It's Friday. You're playing a night game, Friday Night Lights. Go back to high school football a little bit. How do you feel as, a guy calling the game? I mean, do you prefer the night games? Would you rather get it, out of the way earlier, get home, get some, 8 hours of sleep? How are you feeling about it?
I love night games, bro. I can tell you, Austen, back in my newspaper day, I hated them because we had those deadlines. You had to write fast and all. I think now I love night games. I think there's an energy to night games, even in the preseason. I think that's the reason why in the regular season everybody wants those night games because you're the only game going. Now, that's not the case now, but you're the only game going. I think there's an energy at night. I think fans can get, you know what I'm saying, Austen, a little lubed up maybe. I think, okay, there's a little more preparation time. Sure. I love night games. I've always loved night games. I think tailgaters love night games better. So I think night games are a lot of fun. There's at least two, this one and next week. Then, of course, there's Pittsburgh in the regular year, and then we'll see if there's a flex opportunity. So I love night games. I think night games are fun, and there's a great energy to them, and I can't wait.
Yeah, this guy loves night games, Austen, right? He can get up when he wants to. Sure. His show gets preempted, and then he just rolls in. Some of us, Frank, we worked a full day. So
there's kind of that. There's some of that in play. I can't lie. There's some of that in play.
It's all good. Hey, Frank, we've been asking everybody this, and everyone's got their own opinions on it. Give us a player or two in particular that you're really honing in on their performance tonight.
I think the obvious answer is the 2 weeks out linebackers to see. I think they're both going to play during the regular year. I think so. That's the obvious answer, and that's kind of a cop-out answer. I really am locking in on the pass catchers that I think will be in the game tonight. the two, we're all talking about Josh Cameron and C.J. Williams. I think it's probably the answer I gave you last week, so I think that's first and foremost for me. I think if Tanner Koziel plays, I think he's up there. If Borkacher plays, I'm not sure how much they're going to do all that, but I'd keep an eye on that. And then I think the defensive backs, Mike. I think there's a real battle, and we've talked about it all camp, really, but I think there's a legitimate battle between Jabbar Muhammad and Christian Braswell. Conventional thinking might be that Muhammad moved ahead of him a little bit. He was very good last week. So I think the defensive backs, guys that I think are fighting for jobs. I'll give you one other thing, too. Mike, somebody's got to become rush in 3, 4, 5, and 6. We kind of know what you got in Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen. Maybe B.J. Green is moved to edge number 3. But there's a battle for edge 4, 5, and 6. So I think keeping an eye on those guys, too, will be fun tonight, too.
Frank, obviously, Liam Cohen's still a newer coach in the league and everything, and we spoke about his philosophy, how he's resting, his starters for the preseason. We'll see what happens next week with Tampa Bay. They're coming to town for a couple joint practices, so one would assume maybe that the starters will be resting as well. How do you feel about it?
Well, I think it's the right thing. Like it's risk-reward, Austen. It's as a guy calling the game and his fans watching the game, guys, more fun when the stars are out there, right? Mm-hmm. But it's risk-reward. Here's what you know. If you don't play them out there, it's way less likely that anything keeps them from starting the regular season. Two things. Number one, so I understand the risk-reward. My guess is Liam really did think about playing him, as he said, and then they had a really good joint practice against Carolina. All of a sudden he wasn't going to. So I get it. I'd be lying if I said it isn't more fun calling Trevor Lawrence, right? but I get it. I think it's the right decision, and I don't think. And by the way, to your point, I don't think there's any chance, Austen, they play next week. I think the only chance they were going to play in the preseason might have been a couple series, 20 plays tonight. Now that they didn't play tonight, I don't care what happens in the joint practice with Tampa Bay. I don't think there's any chance you see starters now until the regular season.
Frank, just got a minute left here. I think you recently felt like maybe there's only 1 or 2 spots on the 53-man roster up for grabs, but with injuries at certain position groups, that could change the math of how many guys you're keeping. So how many spots are in flux right now to you?
I don't think it's very many, Mike. You're right. You shuffle the deck a little bit. These offensive line injuries have caused you to bring in more offensive linemen that weren't here when camp started. But I think for the most part, I think there's 3 or 4 spots. And I as far as roster spots go, I think there's 3 or 4 spots. I think they've pretty much known the first 45, 48 guys on their team. I think they knew that before they went to camp. And it's changed a little bit. You'll shuffle the deck a little bit. But in terms of how many guys make the team and don't, I don't think that changes a whole lot. I think there's 4 or 5 spots. And I think those guys know those are the guys, to your question, we started this thing, particularly if they're playing against starters from Carolina, those are the guys that have to play well, and I think they know that.
All right, Frank, have a great broadcast tonight.
All right, fellas, thank you.
Appreciate your time, Austen. I don't know about you. 4 or 5 still sounds like a kind of high number to me compared to what it was even maybe a week ago.
But you know what? I mean, that's not a bad thing, though, either, right? If competition's available, brings out the best in everybody. Like, I would say maybe 3 or 4 for sure.
All right, enjoy the game, brother.
Yeah, you enjoy some coffee while you try to stay awake tonight.
I will do that. Up next, Jaguars Radio Network coverage, countdown to kickoff. Top sound of the week, Fred Taylor's take. The final word before kickoff with Jaguars head coach Liam Cohen. A 7:37 p.m. Eastern kickoff time for the Jags and Panthers in preseason week 2 action. Thanks for listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll. Taste the hype only at Jacksonville Publix locations. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.